Hello. How are we doing? Um, my name's Keith. I am your meditation teacher here on this channel, Meditation Breaks. And for those who have been here before, welcome back. If you're new, welcome for the first time. This channel is all about learning meditation, and I like to take a practical approach to how we can both learn meditation and learn how to kind of incorporate it into our modern life because all of us are busy. We got a lot going on. And so, one of the key components here is trying to make meditation work for you, right? Not have you not have it feel like something that is burdensome, right? And so we like to spread around topically all the different kind of styles of meditation and what kind of things it can do for us in an effort to try to find something that connects with everyone, right? Hey, Rosa. Hey, Tony. How you doing? So this week, this week on, we're going to talk about expanding our capacity for kindness towards others. And this is a really cool topic and we'll get to it later, but like I really love the meditation for this. It's really, really awesome. Hey Rob. Hey Linda, Shelly, how you doing? If you're like, well, cool, I love the topical stuff, but Keith, I don't know anything about meditation. Worry not. Each week we start with a kind of blank slate. Introduction to meditation. Hey Antonio. Introduction to meditation. How does it work? Why bother? How much time does it take? All these questions that are probably top of mind if this is very new for you or if you've never even tried meditation before once. We always start with that, and then we'll get everyone's feet a little wet, so to speak, with a very short breathing meditation, and then we'll talk about our topic and then do a meditation on that. Okay. Me too, Antonio. Here we are, learning about meditation, which is what? What is meditation? Right? Oddly enough, meditation is like one of these things that we all kind of share a very vivid image of what it is, and that vivid image is somebody sitting down cross-legged with their eyes closed, something like that. It's an emoji. I feel like once it's an emoji, that's it, man. Like good luck getting around that imagery. So, this is like our ubiquitous kind of view of what meditation is, and there are many traditions that is a formal way of meditating, right? But meditation is not a seating position, at least in my opinion. It is something that transcends body position, right? And for good reason. Like if it was a requirement to sit down on the floor in order to meditate, well, that alienates quite a lot of people, and myself included, because it's not very comfortable for me to sit on the floor these days as I'm getting on years. So it's good news that this is not a requirement. And so if meditation is not sitting down cross-legged, blah, 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 then what is it? Here I like to position meditation, the definition of it, as a technique you can use to become really familiar with something. And that might seem like a weird definition, and in a way, I guess it kind of is, because when we are talking about meditation, we are talking about like mental, emotion, thought, right? And that's not something that we associate with this idea of becoming really familiar with. We don't like walk around saying, I'm becoming really familiar with what time the garbage person arrives, which is something I'm trying to become familiar with because I missed it last week. Right. So we don't walk around saying those things, but that's what happens, right? Our entire day, every minute of our day, we are becoming more familiar with tons of things, right? Thoughts, feelings, physical actions. Right? And we can look to physical actions, which is a little bit easier to kind of wrap our head around, as a means of understanding how becoming familiar with something plays a role in our life. Like, what's the output? What does that mean? So what? I'm familiar with this. What does that mean? Let's take something like, I don't know, brushing your teeth, right? You all know how to brush your teeth, right? Our techniques may be different, yeah. If we ask the dentists, some of us are probably doing it better than others, but we all know how, right? When you go to brush your teeth, you don't have to think about, wait a second, okay, now I pick up the toothbrush and okay, I'm putting on the toothpaste, and then like it's all very second nature at this point. Why? We were not born as this expert toothbrusher extraordinaire. In fact, we were born not even knowing what that is. And as somebody who's had the distinct joy of seeing my two nephews grow up, the first time you start brushing your teeth, it doesn't always go that well, right? Drooling all over yourself. You're hitting like your lip more than your teeth, right? And the only difference in between that version of you brushing your teeth and now this very like effortless version is familiarity, practice. Through repetition, through time, we start to become more and more familiar with the mechanics of brushing our teeth, both physical and mental. Right? Physical, the motions, mental, like, oh, this is when I do this, this is makes me drool, right? So familiarity, the output of it is the thing we are really familiar with starts to show up more readily in our life, with less effort, like second nature, you could say. And this output is really cool. It's not something that at least I thought about until I started to learn about all this stuff. But all things follow this kind of rule, right? And so let's take something mental, like being relaxed, stress-free, or peaceful, or whatever. This is more or less why most people attempt meditation initially, to be relaxed or whatever. And so we can think about this in terms of, oh, I guess meditation relaxes me. That's kind of what we think, right? If I meditate, then I'm relaxed. Meditation equals relaxation. But meditation actually isn't relaxing you at all. Meditation is teaching you to become really familiar with relaxed you, a version of yourself that is relaxed and is already there. And this is a really, I think, important takeaway from how meditation plays a role into our life, in that it is not creating anything that you don't already have, right? You already are peaceful and relaxed. And you've seen it from time to time. You probably want it to come out more. That's why we're here, right? Um, but these things you have already. And so meditation is a conduit for you to become really familiar with relaxed you. And what happens when you become really familiar with relaxed you? Same thing as brushing your teeth. Right? The concentration, effort that it takes for a relaxed you to show up is much less, right? We don't have to try as hard. It's sort of becoming our default, right? And so this has really huge impact on our life because it means that we can choose the type of person we want to be. It's not easy, right? But you have the tools that you need to start to choose what you want your mind to be familiar with so that those things show up with less effort, which is kind of like our superpower, I like to say. Also, much like classic superhero issues, we have this ability, but it seems as though we don't really get to choose when it's kind of turning on and off, right? If we think about something like frustration, that is an emotion we are extremely familiar with. How can we tell? We don't have to try to get frustrated, right? We could be having a best day ever, and then something happens, and we're like, ugh, instantly, right? No one has ever said, ugh, I have to stop and really try to get frustrated here. It's really taking a lot of effort to get frustrated, right? On the other hand, patience, which is kind of the antithesis of frustration and annoyance or whatever, that is something that we do have to often put a lot of effort into having come up, having tilt the scales in that direction, so to speak. Not because we are inherently angry, but because over the course of our life, our mind has had a lot more practice getting annoyed than being super patient. And so when we leave our mind to do its mind things, and we're not like kind of checking in with it and whatnot and thinking about training it in this way, our mind gravitates to what it's familiar with, right? Which is why we see these like patterns of thought process, mental states that seem to be really hard for us to overcome, right? Anxiety, loneliness, all of these things fall into this category. Everything falls into this category of familiarity, right? Cool. So that sounds great, doesn't it? Well, how the heck do we do it? So when we start learning how to meditate, almost always you start with breathing meditation. And breathing meditation is a meditation on your breath, where the focal point of your meditation is your breath. And all meditation is based around a focal point. More formally, it's called single-pointed concentration. Right? Single-pointedly focusing on something, not multitasking, which we are experts in. Each one of us are expert multitaskers. Even if you don't think you are, you are. I'm talking with my hands while speaking right now and thinking about what I'm going to say. And, sometimes I make a goofy face and I'm like, oh, I hope nobody saw that while I'm still talking. And so our mind is constantly juggling thoughts, juggling inputs, right? And this is really cool because it means our mind is like super powerful and can do a lot of stuff, and we can accomplish a lot of worldly tasks seemingly at once. But it's not always the best for being super relaxed. Right? And so meditation, single-pointed concentration, is the opposite of that. We are going to focus so exclusively on one thing and one thing only that something interesting is going to happen. All of those thoughts that are kind of clamoring for our attention, like, oh, you have that project coming up. Oh, don't forget about what your I don't know, significant other said to you that made you annoyed. Uh, Whatever those things that are bouncing around in our head, right? The more single pointedly focused we are on our breath in this case, the less noisy they're going to be. They seemingly fade away a little bit, right? Um, Much like if you're looking at a still pond or lake, right? And you can see the reflection, and then it starts to rain, and you can no longer see the reflection. Those little raindrops are obscuring the reflection, just like the busy thoughts in your mind are obscuring your natural peacefulness, clarity, ability to think objectively, whatever, all these wonderful things, right? And so our goal here with meditation, with breathing meditation, is to start to become familiar with this idea of pacifying the busyness in our mind, right? And that consists of 3 steps. Step 1, we choose to do this. That is a weird step, I know. And at first I was like, this seems dumb. that was my cynical view on it. But it's actually really important, right? So we accidentally have meditative experiences all the time, which is cool. It means that this is actually not that new for you. If you've ever been in the zone, like, working on something and you lose track of time, or you no longer hear like all the, maybe you got construction going on outside your office or something, and then you're like, I don't like it. I hate that noise. But then you're really diligently working on something and you forget that noise is even there. And it is still there. Those construction workers have not gone home. They are still there. It's just as if they no longer are, right? All because you're kind of focused in on one thing. We've had these experiences before, right? But we haven't had a lot of practice purposely having them, right? They sort of just kind of happen, right? And so the first step of this little breathing meditation exercise is to make a little promise to ourselves, to set an intention. And that intention is to focus on our breath to the best of our ability for the next couple of minutes. We want this is our goal. This is what we're here for. For the next couple of minutes, that is all we have to worry about. Right? And so we're going to let that sit in our mind so we have something to kind of come back to if we drift away. And then the second step is, while we are actually focusing on our breath, and I'll be guiding this, whenever you notice your attention starting to think about some of those thoughts pulling for your attention, there was that weird, what was that weird sound? Or I don't know, I have an itch, or work tomorrow. Whenever we catch ourselves kind of drifting in that way, we're just going to say not right now to those thoughts. We'll get to them later. Thoughts are thoughts. They're not bad. They're not intrusive. They're not unwanted. Just not now. We're doing something. And so we are putting those thoughts beside us, and then we are bringing our attention back to our breath. That's the third step. Bring your attention back. Choose to focus single pointedly on your breath. Notice when your attention has drifted. Bring your attention back. 3 steps. And we do this as a little cycle. And over time, the more we're able to kind of stay with our breath and notice when we're distracted and come back, we're going to start to settle in. We're going to start to pacify some of the busyness in our mind and relax. Okay, so you may notice that I am not on the floor. I'm in a chair. You too can be in a chair or wherever, a hammock. Lay down. Had a long day? Go ahead, lay down. It doesn't matter. You can sit however you like. There is no proper way to do this. You do you. And then I would recommend closing your eyes because that can kind of help with some of the visual distractions that we tend to focus on. And I'm going to guide us through a 5-ish minute breathing meditation. Okay. Whenever we start a meditation, first things first, check in with yourself. Actually ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? What is your mind up to? Maybe your mind is feeling kind of tired. You had a long day. Maybe it's excited, energetic. Maybe your mind is happy. Maybe it's feeling a little melancholy. Whatever you are feeling right now is perfect. We're not trying to change anything here. We're just noticing. Practicing taking an active interest in our own thoughts. It's an exercise in something called mindfulness. Take a moment and check in. Having done that, we can now make a little promise to ourselves. We're setting an intention. And that promise is to focus single pointedly, exclusively on your own breath to the best of your ability for the next couple of minutes. Let that wish, that promise, sit in your mind. For the next few minutes, this is your only task. All other things can wait. Just you and your breath. And with that intention firmly in your mind, you can act on it. Turn your full, undivided attention to your breath, breathing in and out, very gently and very naturally. There's no need to change how you normally breathe here. Whatever comes natural, that's what I want you to do. In and out, gently, naturally. At some point, sometimes rather quickly, you may notice that your mind is starting to drift a bit. Maybe it's no longer exclusively focused on your breath, perhaps juggling some other thoughts about tomorrow or something that happened earlier today. Whenever you notice that your mind has drifted in this manner, we can just say not right now to those thoughts. We'll get to them later. Those thoughts are just thoughts. And we're saying not right now. Imagine yourself placing those thoughts beside you, where they are waiting patiently. And with those thoughts beside you, turn your full, undivided attention back to your own breath, breathing in and out gently, naturally. Single pointedly focused on your breath. What does that mean? What is it like to follow your breath moment to moment? Of all the countless times we breathe each and every day, very few, if any of them, are spent focusing entirely on breathing itself. What happens if we do? What happens if every time you breathe in, you imagine, watch that air being pulled from the atmosphere into your body? Watch that air as it moves through you, making its way to your lungs, your chest expanding to make room, your shoulders rising. Breathing in. And what about when you exhale? Can you feel your shoulders fall, your chest contract? Can you watch as that air moves back through your body? Watch it leave your body. Watch it mix with all the other pockets of air dissipating right before your very eyes. Breathing out. Breathing in and out takes a mere few moments to happen. And yet, if we choose to, we can start to glean some incredible, subtle joys from such a simple, quick process. If you can learn to find subtle joys, subtle interests in something as simple and accessible as your own breath, imagine what else you can find. Breathing in, breathing out, very gently, very naturally. Keep bringing your attention back to your breath as many times as you need to. This process of choosing to focus single pointedly on your own breath, noticing when your attention drifts, and guiding your attention back to breathing, that's meditation. You are meditating right now. You're training your mind to focus on what you want to focus on. And right now, the only thing you want to focus on is breathing in and breathing out. Gently, naturally. Okay. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Hello. Congrats. You did it. We all did it. We meditated. Um, that's breathing meditation. It's 3 steps, but doesn't mean that it's super simple. And very often we kind of might be taken aback by how easily our mind starts to revert into the kind of juggling multitasking. Um, when that happens, very often we'll be like, well, guess I'm not good at meditation. Yeah, I tried. I'll be moving on to something else now. And this is not the case at all, right? We are all equally adept, awesome at meditating. You're just not familiar doing this. Like, we're really familiar with letting our mind do a ton of things. And in fact, society encourages us to do that, right? Be productive. What does that translate into? Do more with less time, right? Um, what we're not used to is viewing this as productive. And so it is very much a learning experience for all of us. And in the same way that we would, if we're going to learn a new language, first couple times, going to be a little lost. Right? Oh, well, hello, mother. No need to apologize about being late. It's my mom. So that's breathing meditation. And if you take nothing else away from today, know that the goal here is not to never get distracted. Getting distracted is not an indication that that you're not meditating well. Your mind is going to get distracted. That's what your mind does. It thinks. What we're trying to do is become a little bit more aware of when that's happening so we can make a choice. Do I want to drift in that way? Or do I want to bring my attention back to the thing that I'm focusing on? Right? That's our goal. All right. Cool. So, for today, we're going to talk. We're only going to talk a little bit because the meditation we're going to do is a little bit longer, and I don't want to keep you guys late. But what we are talking about is this idea of our kindness capacity, right? Our capacity for compassion, love, whatever you want to call it. It seems, just kind of based on all of our life experiences, that a lot of things have a capacity, right? There's only so many hours in the day, right? It's the time. There's a capacity. Limitations, right? There's a limit, right? Most of our kind of interpretation of external factors is based in this idea of limited or capacity based, right? And so we start to really get used to thinking in this way, thinking in terms of limits, thinking in terms of capacity. Right? But for certain things, we might be not giving ourselves enough credit as to the capacity that we actually have. And one of those things, I think it's safe to say, is the amount of love we can give to other people, right? And this is getting at something that is tangentially related to gratitude. Gratitude is recognizing the importance of something or someone. And the interesting thing about gratitude is when we experience it, love, compassion, all those feelings, they start to come naturally, right? If our best friend, and we think about our best friend in the whole world, right? Just picture them. This is me picturing them, right? When we think about them, we naturally have compassion for them, thankfulness. We recognize the impact that they have in our life. And as a result, it is easy for us, natural for us to want to repay that kindness with kindness. This is like what I'll kind of call like effortless compassion, right? Which is like, I guess, not a great term because, we put a lot of effort into our friendships and stuff. But it feels effortless, right? What about like a stranger? It's really hard to have the same level of compassion for them that we would our best friend in the whole world. And so over our life, we've started to kind of create this like tier system of how, and like certain people fit into these different tiers of like the love we pour into them, right? Um, Friends and family are closer to the center. We ourselves are actually at the center. Um, Strangers towards the outside. But this feels like a limitation. This feels like a capacity issue. How can I possibly, have compassion for all these, strangers and whatnot? Um, and to help with this is a little life hack where we start to recognize the importance of some of these more tangential tiers of people in our lives to start to see if maybe they actually are contributing a lot more to our happiness than we thought. All right. Or a lot more to our life in general than we thought. Because if we start to believe that, start to see that, well, then our capacity tank or battery of compassion, it starts to expand, right? Because we're using less and less energy. It's starting to become natural, second nature. So we're going to do a fun little meditation. At least I think it is. And this meditation is all about the movie of our life. Terrible name. I don't know. I just thought of that. We're going to imagine a day. We're all going to go on the same day together. And we're going to pretend that this is like a movie that we're watching. Right? And at the end of movies, guess what? Credits roll. And we never stay for them. We don't look at them. But if we did, we would notice that there is a ton of people that are a part of this movie. And so we're going to start to pick out some of the extras in our movie and start to see if maybe they're a little closer to best supporting actor actress than we had thought. And that will encourage us to feel like our capacity to have compassion for them and others has expanded. Cool? Okay. So once again, you can get comfy. You can, if you're like, man, this guy's been talking a bit. He's really tired me out. I would like to lay down now. You can go ahead and change. You don't have to have the same seat as the last time. Just get comfy and go ahead and close your eyes. And I'm going to guide us through this meditation. Okay. Let's take a moment and check in. What's your mind up to? What does it feel like? It's not a comparison to before. Before is done. Just now. Practice being an observer of your own thoughts. And having checked in, we can now set an intention, a little promise to ourselves, a wish. And that wish, that promise, that intention is for the next couple of minutes to focus exclusively on this meditation on gratitude. That's it. This is your only task. All the other things can wait. For the next few minutes, it's just you and this gratitude meditation. And with that intention set, we can act on it. I'd like you to bring to mind this image. It's morning and you have just woken up. Really put yourself in this situation. What does your bed feel like? Are you in your room? A room of your house or apartment? And as we wake up, we can already start to see the impact that strangers have in our life. For who made that bed? Who produced the mattress? People we've never met. Who produced the tools that helped make the mattress? Other people still. Our house, our apartment, this safe haven for us. Who built that? Waking up in our own room, in our own bed. Such a wonderful feeling that we get to experience. And this feeling is made possible by so many countless people that we have never met, people we would consider strangers, and yet there they are every morning. And after we get out of bed, maybe we go and we take a shower. Who ran all of the plumbing to get fresh water to your shower? Somebody invented a way for you to control the exact temperature of the water with the flick of a wrist. Countless years spent iterating on this invention so that you can take a shower with the exact temperature that you want. How kind of them to do so. After our shower, maybe we're going to go get some breakfast. Perhaps a piece of fruit. Think of all the people who are responsible for putting that piece of fruit in your hand. Somebody planted the seeds, tended to the crops. long days of doing so. And when those crops started to bear fruit, somebody gathered all the best ones and put them in a package created by countless other people in a factory far away. And these packaged fruits were then put on a truck, driven by someone you've never met, very far distances. This person away from their family and friends for a long time, driving this fruit so that they can get that fruit into a grocery store near you, a grocery store that is painstakingly organized by individuals so that you can walk into the grocery store, know exactly where to go to find the piece of fruit that you like, get the best one, and go about your day. Countless individuals who we've never met, intimately responsible for this piece of fruit being in your hand. How kind of them. How lucky we are. You might be thinking, well, yeah, but I paid for the fruit. I paid for the fruit with my money. My money. Where did you get that money? Maybe from your job, employer who took a chance on you, hiring you instead of countless other candidates who would love to have that job. You might think, yeah, but I was the best candidate. That's why I got the job. Who taught you the skills that made you the best candidate that got you this job? Who taught you how to read, how to write, how to present yourself, how to make a resume? All of these things, these skills, we were not born with them. They come from other people. Family, parents, friends, media, literature. If we were to give back all the things that other people had a role in giving us, well, we wouldn't have anything at all. The clothes on our back, we were not born with them. Even our body, made possible through the love of other people. Compassion, kindness can seem limited for us. We only have so many hours in the day. We only have so much energy to give. And yet, when we start to see how critically valuable all of these strangers are in our life, they cease to become strangers, and the compassion that we have for them seems to flow naturally. For the last few moments here, think about your day today. Pick a part of it. See if there are any people involved in making this day possible that you hadn't thought about before. Okay. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. I told you it was a little long. This is a really cool meditation. I think out of all of the meditations that I've learned and all of the kind of like philosophical things that come along with them, this is one of the ones that's really stuck with me. And I think it's a really good one to kind of have in your back pocket because it is something you can do when you're not meditating, formally meditating, right? The next time you go and get a cup of coffee, right? When the barista hands you that cup of coffee, how many people were responsible in putting that coffee in your hand? Like a lot, not just the barista, right? Somebody made the cup, somebody got the beans, somebody made the machines that make the beans, like all these things, right? Everything comes from someone. And thinking about people in this way starts to make us realize how much more connected we are with people that we would consider to be on the kind of like outside of our friends, family, etc. Right? These strangers cease to become strangers. Right? And before you know it, you're starting to naturally have a larger capacity for kindness, for compassion, without having really changed anything about your life other than the way you are viewing things, like the amount of investigation you're doing into who is involved in making these things possible. Right? Um, thank you, Rosa. Very kind of you. So that is it for today. Hopefully you had a good time, relaxing or thought provoking or one of those things. If you did, yay! Come on back next week. We're going to do another meditation topic / meditations, and thank you to anyone who subscribed to the channel during the live stream, or anyone who chooses to do so later, or anyone who has done so previous. Thank you. It means a lot to me. It helps other people find my channel and get to experience learning meditation for themselves. So you're all doing a good kindness there. And if you are like, hey, well, this was cool, I do one-on-one private instruction. It's a really great way of focusing on what you want to get out of meditation. We're all here for different reasons. Want to work on anxiety, we can do that, etc. So if that's interesting to you, you can just email me, and we can find a time that works. I do it all virtually. It's pretty laid back. So I'm going to put my email in the chat right now. It is keith@meditationbreaks.com. keith@meditationbreaks.com. I did it. I spelled it correctly. What a day. That is my email. If you're interested in doing a one-on-one, you can contact me. If you just have a question about meditation, you can also email me. You just want to say hi, you can email me. And lastly, thank you for being here. I really love teaching. It brings a lot of joy to me, to my life. And I couldn't do that without you guys taking time out of your busy day to be here. Some of you come each week for years. Incredible. And so thank you. It really means a lot to me. And I have a lot of gratitude for you all. Thank you. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time.